Hello and welcome back to the Azerbaijan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and after a year of waiting, the Euros are just around the corner, and I believe if I can get this video uploaded in time, it will start on the exact day that the Euros begin. And they start with Italy versus Turkey in Rome. So with that in mind, what better way to mark the start of the tournament than doing the most basic, boring and predictable video you can do, and that is a predictions video. And considering how brilliantly my Premier League predictions for the previous season went. Okay. Considering how average slash mediocre slash pretty bad my Premier League predictions were for last season, I've got to try and redeem myself a little bit. So why not predict the entirety of Euro 2020, going from the group stages right the way through to who I think will be the champions. If you do somehow enjoy this video for whatever stupid reason, then don't forget to break the like button with all of your might and subscribe if you have not done so already. And comment down below with who you think will win the tournament, who may be the surprise package, who may be the massive flop out of all the major teams, who might go out in the group stages, who many people might not expect to go. Basically, just let me know your predictions in the comments down below. But without any further ado, here is Euro 2020 according to, well, me. So we'll start out, of course, with Group A, which is a fascinating group really, with only one true superpower in it, and that being Italy, plus three teams who I would say are pretty interchangeable. You could probably put them in any position or predict them to finish in any position, and those are Switzerland, Turkey and Wales. But in the end, whilst I obviously predict Italy are going to win the group, I have a feeling that it might be Turkey who finish in second. I back them a little bit to be the dark horses of this tournament. They've got a really solid defence, bolstered by the likes of Serdar Soyuncu, Mehdi Demiral, Ozan Kabak, and of course a trio of title winners from Ligue 1 in the forms of Zefi Çelik, Burak Yilmaz and Yusuf Yazidze. And I just think they might cause one or two upsets this tournament. So I think that they will finish in second, and it will be Wales who come in at third, and Switzerland sadly might just get the wooden spoon. I think it's pretty obvious to everyone that Italy are going to win this group. I mean, they just have such a star-studded squad. They're unbeaten in 27 games, have kept 8 clean sheets in a row going into this tournament. They have a really hot striker in Ciro Immobile leading their line. They have one of the best young goalkeepers in the world in Gianluigi Donnarumma between the sticks, and the Serie A midfielder of the year 2020-21 in Nicolo Barella, who's going to be really influential in the centre of midfield. You know, they qualified with a perfect record, 10 wins and 37 goals scored, 4 goals conceded, only 4, that's mental. And maybe they might be a little bit over-reliant on Immobile, but they want to prove a point after missing out on the 2018 World Cup, so I think they're going to win this group, followed by, as I say, Turkey in second, Wales in third, partly because I think they've got a good squad, but not quite an amazing squad. Plus, they do have managerial instability because obviously Ryan Giggs is no longer the actual manager, and he's been replaced by Rob Page for this tournament because of Giggs' assault allegations, ongoing assault allegations, I should say. But they do still have the likes of Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, Daniel James, David Brooks, a really good forward line. So I think that might just get them into third, meaning that Switzerland, even though they are a decent squad, especially midfield, I just think their general lack of firepower up front will see them finish bottom of the group. Moving on to Group B, and we have the #1 ranked team in the world right now in the form of Belgium, 1992 shock Euro winners Denmark, tournament debutants Finland, and Russia, who of course hosted the 2018 World Cup and reached the quarter-finals, which is their best performance in the World Cup as an independent nation. I did and ah for a bit of time as to who should finish second, third and fourth. I mean, I obviously think Belgium are going to finish first. They have a stacked squad all across the pitch, especially midfield and attack. You know, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Yuri Tielemans, Eden Hazard, Romelu Lukaku, Dries Mertens. They should tear this group to shreds realistically. And they won their Nations League group, of course. They won 5 of their 6 games, only losing 1 to England. And they've got 7 points from 3 in their World Cup qualifying. So they go into this tournament with a lot of good form and obviously a lot of great players. So I think it's pretty obvious that Belgium are going to win the group. However, for second place, I'm going to go a little bit rogue here, and I'm going to say that it is Russia who make it in second, with Denmark in third and Finland in fourth. I just think that Russia have a little bit of momentum going forward from that 2018 World Cup. Even though their form isn't particularly great, they will want a squad that proves that it isn't just home advantage that gave them that run to the quarterfinals. So I think it might just take them into second place, although, as I say, it will be really, really close between second, third and fourth. Denmark, as I say, will finish in third. They might be a little bit too over-reliant on Christian Eriksen and Kasper Schmeichel. Although they do have a decent squad all round, they will maybe finish in third on like goal difference or by 1 point behind Russia. And then sadly, Finland, well, I mean, they've got Hradecki, the goalkeeper, Timo Pukki, who of course is their star striker. He scored 10 of their 16 qualification goals, and Glenn Kamara in midfield. But besides them, there isn't really much in the way of quality. It won't be the tournament for them just yet. This is their almost acclimatization tournament, and they will come back stronger. But for now, they're coming in fourth, in my opinion. Group C also has a Euros debutant in the form of North Macedonia, who have been pitted alongside Austria, the Netherlands, and the Ukraine. Now, I think, again, it's kind of a similar situation to Group A and Group B in that there is one team who people would consider to be strides ahead of all the others, and second, third and fourth can almost be interchangeable. I think it's quite clear that the Netherlands will win this group. I mean, they've got a fantastic squad: Frenkie de Jong, Matthijs de Ligt, and Memphis Depay, and of course the prodigy Ryan Gravenberch, who I'm really looking forward to watching in action at this Euros. But they aren't in like fantastic form per se. They lost to Turkey in the World Cup qualifiers, and their only wins in 2021 have come against Latvia, Gibraltar and Georgia, who aren't really the most formidable of opposition. Although, having said that, their squad is still stacked, and even with an absolutely shoddy manager like Frank de Boer, they surely have enough to get into first place in this group. Plus, of course, they missed out on the 2018 World Cup, so they've really got a point to prove. So that will mean that they come first in the group, and then in second, I'm going with Austria, with their informed striker Sasha Kalajdzic providing the goals for them, of course, alongside the world-class David Alaba, the creative force of Marcel Sabitzer. But in third place, I actually think North Macedonia might just edge it, over Ukraine. And this is partly because, even though I'm counteracting myself a little bit because I'm basically going against what I said with Finland, they are the tournament debutants, and I just have a feeling that they might prove to be not extremely successful, not like have an Iceland tournament in 2016, but they might ruffle a few feathers and do as well as Albania did in the last Euros, where obviously there was their tournament debut and they won their opening game and narrowly lost their next two, but they nearly qualified as one of the best third place sides. And I think North Macedonia will be in a similar position. This is a tournament debut. They'll be buoyed by great form. They beat Germany in March, for example, and they have an inspiring manager. And if they do make it out, they could yet prove to be the dark horses. But for now, I'm going to put them in third. And Ukraine, with Andriy Shevchenko as manager, I'm not quite sure if he's cut out for it. And not really a star-studded squad, in all honesty. I think that they might finish last in this group. On to Group D, and of course, as all of my viewers will probably be aware, this is the one with England in it. Is it coming home? Well, you'll have to wait and see later on. Not only does it have England though, but it also has the Tartan Army of Scotland in it. They are back after 23 years in the international wilderness without qualifying for a single major international tournament in that time. But they've never made it out of the group stages in any of their previous tournament appearances in either the Euros or the World Cup. Is this the time for them now? I think it might be, I mean, I have put them in third, with England in first, Croatia in second, and the Czech Republic in fourth. I'll go into those teams in a little bit. But Scotland, I think, they have an amazing squad spirit. They have the likes of Andy Robertson, Kieran Tierney, John McGinn, and potentially Billy Gilmore if he gets onto the pitch, who could really cause some shockwaves throughout the group. But they might just fall short of the star power that the likes of England and Croatia have, which means that they'll come in third. They can still qualify if they're one of the best third place teams, but for now I think they will come in third in this group. You can obviously see that I've put England in first because their team is just so packed with talent. Harry Kane, Declan Rice, Jadon Sancho, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Mason Mount. Their midfield and attack is just so stacked. It's ridiculous. Their defense could be a little bit edgy, especially if Maguire doesn't play, but their midfield and attack is just wondrous. However, the key thing in this tournament, I think, will be if Gareth Southgate can make the most out of them. Now, can he? I'm not quite sure. I mean, they put in quite insipid displays in recent friendly games, so we'll have to wait and see how that develops, but I think they will top this group. Croatia, the 2018 World Cup finalists, who of course knocked England out of the World Cup in 2018. Their squad has aged a little bit. You know, key players have gone like Rakitic and Mandzukic. Modric is still there. We will be pulling the strings alongside the likes of Marcelo Brozovic and Ivan Perisic. They'll do well in this group, but they won't win it. They'll probably get like 5 or 6 points and come in second. And then the Czech Republic, although they have got the West Ham duo of Tomáš Souček and Vladimír Soufal in their ranks, they might rely on them a bit too much, and the squad just isn't on the level of, you know, the 1996 Euros when they reached the final. You know, the likes of Pavel Nedved, Jan Koller, Karol Poborski. Where are those players now? I mean, Souček is obviously a fantastic player, but I just think they might rely on him a little bit too much, and as a result of that, they're going to be the team who are guaranteed to go home from Group D. On to Group E, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to really dwell on this one that much because I think the places, in my opinion, are actually set in stone. This is probably the easiest group for me to determine in the entire video, with Spain coming in first. They haven't got the squad that they had a few years ago, obviously back in the early to mid-2010s, and of course they've had 3 extremely subpar tournaments since they won the 2012 Euros, but with a young, hungry squad ready to prove themselves, I think they will do well and they'll certainly win this group. Then second place, I've gone with Poland because Robert Lewandowski is going to fire them into second place, provided of course he's on form. If he's not on form, Poland might well come in last, but if he is on form, which he surely will be after breaking the Bundesliga goal scoring record for a single season, I think they will get into second place. And then Sweden, of course, Zlatan Less, considering he got injured. I just don't think that they are up to the task of matching Poland or Spain just yet, so they will come in third. And Slovakia, they're good at the back with the likes of Milan Skriniar, but they are also reliant on Marek Hamšík, who's now playing in the Swedish league, and their attack does not inspire me with any confidence whatsoever. I think they will finish in last place in this group. Now then, Group F is the big one, the group of death potentially, with France, Germany, Hungary and Portugal. 3 giants of the world game. Who do I think is going to win the group? You can't really look past France, can you? Their squad is just ridiculous. You know, Varane, Paul Pogba, Antoine Griezmann, Kylian Mbappe, N'Golo Kante, Jules Koundé, who could make an appearance at centre-back. They've only had 3 losses since 2017 in all competitions, including friendlies. They've got the best squad on paper, and I'm well aware that they have a tendency to absolutely tank in major tournaments, but I don't think they will this time around. Deschamps has got them really charged up and prepared to avoid going through the same fate that they had in World Cup 2002, Euro 2008 and World Cup 2010. Below them, I've gone with the holders of Portugal in second and then Germany in third, and poor old Hungary. I mean, they've lost their key man in Dominik Szoboszlai. They lack general squad depth and they're in the group of death alongside 3 giants of the European game. I mean, if they make it out, then fair play to them. They absolutely deserve it, but I just can't see it happening, so I'm going to put them in fourth. But third, I'm going to go with Germany because whilst their squad is fantastic, of course, Joshua Kimmich, Leon Goretzka, Manuel Neuer, basically just Bayern Munich plus a few others, I don't think Joachim Löw inspires any confidence in that team anymore. They lost 6-0 to Spain last year and 2-1 at home to North Macedonia back in March. Does Löw have the same aura that he did, 7-8 years ago? No, not even close to that. Of course, he's leaving at the end of the tournament to be replaced by Hansi Flick, but if they brought in Hansi Flick now, I think he'd have a much better chance of winning the tournament than they do with Löw in charge right now. So I can't see them coming in higher than third. And of course, Portugal, powered by the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Ruben Diaz, Bruno Fernandes, João Felix, Nuno Mendes at left back, who will potentially be a surprise package of the tournament, surprise star. They have a much better squad than they did when they actually won the tournament back in 2016. Of course, they are the holders. So they will do well in this group. I think they'll get either 6 or 7 points, but probably come in second behind France on goal difference. So with that, those are my predictions for the groups. Moving on to the best third place teams, I have Wales, Denmark, North Macedonia, Scotland, Sweden and Germany to pick from. And out of those 4, I think it will be Wales, Denmark, Scotland and Germany. I think Germany will get like 3 or 4 points in Group F. And then Scotland, as I say, will challenge in Group D, as will Denmark in Group B and Wales in Group A. I think North Macedonia will miss out on goal difference, but Sweden are the only ones I'm quite confident about not making it through as one of the best third place sides. They've not been good form. They finished last in their Nations League group. So yeah, I think it'll be Sweden and North Macedonia who go out, meaning that the final 16 has been selected, by me at least. Now it's time to move on to the knockout stages. So the first bracket of 4 contains 3 games which I think are pretty much foregone conclusions should they actually go ahead, and those are Belgium versus Scotland, Italy versus Austria, and France versus Denmark. As much as I'd love to go rogue and maybe predict an Austria or a Denmark to win it, I just don't see that happening, especially in these games. So it'll be Belgium, Italy, and France who make up 3 of the quarterfinal spots. And then Croatia versus Poland is an interesting one because, they're pretty evenly matched. Poland obviously have, as I say, Lewandowski, Wojciech Szczesny as well in goal. Croatia have a bit more of an all-rounded, better squad than Poland do. But barring Luka Modric, they don't have like the extreme star quality of a Lewandowski style player. So it's a bit of a tough one to weigh up. But after a bit of toing and throwing in my head, I've gone with Croatia to win that game. So therefore, the first 2 quarterfinal spots will be Belgium versus Italy and France versus Croatia, which is of course a repeat of the 2018 World Cup final. The second bracket of 4 is really interesting though, because it has one game which potentially could be a foregone conclusion, and the other 3 which are really tight and could go either way. I think it's safe that we can get the first game out of the way, and that is obviously Spain versus Wales. I think Spain will be better than Wales on the day. If Wales, if they lose a star player like a Ramsey or a Bale, I don't think they'll stand a chance against Spain should they come up against them. So therefore I'd say Spain will be the first team in the quarterfinals. And then I'll go to the last game, which is Turkey versus Russia, and say the middle 2 games from the end. Turkey, I just think they might be the dark horses in this tournament. They've got an amazing defence and are bolstered by, the Ligue 1 title winners. So I just think, even though Russia will want to prove a point, as I said earlier on, I think Turkey will take it. So it'll be Spain and Turkey who pick the first 2 quarterfinal spots, or rather 2 of the quarterfinal spots. But then we come to England versus Portugal and the Netherlands versus Germany. I'll start with the Netherlands versus Germany, and originally I actually had Germany down to win it, but after a lot of back and forthing in my mind again, I went all over the place with this one. I've actually come to the conclusion that it'll be the Netherlands who win it, even though I don't think the Netherlands' squad is better. I think it's really, really close. I think there are fine margins in it. I think the Netherlands squad is worse than the German squad. However, I just don't think Joachim Löw has it anymore. And even though Frank de Boer is, the worst Premier League manager of all time, I think that they'll just get enough to put one over their bitter rivals. And England versus Portugal, this game could be key to determining what happens, potentially in the final. I'm going to say it right now. It's really, really tight between the 2. You get the strong midfield and attack of England, and then the all-round squad of Portugal. This is another game where I just went all over the place in my mind with. I had no idea. But even though my heart says England, I sadly think it's not coming home. And I think Portugal, should they come up against England in the second round, will knock us out. If England come up against France, I think France will win. But if they come up against Germany in the round of 16, then they stand a good chance of going through, I think. But of course, they might not win the group. If they finish second, they get an easier route, but they don't play at Wembley in the semi-finals or final should they make it there. But in my opinion, this is how my tournament pans out, and they come up against Portugal in my tournament. So I sadly think that Portugal will get one over on us again. It's sad to say, but it ain't coming home. 56 years of hurt is incoming. The quarterfinal sees, as I said earlier, a repeat of the 2018 World Cup final between France and Croatia, the Netherlands versus Turkey, 2 Iberian rivals in Spain versus Portugal going head to head, and the golden generation of Belgium and the rising stars, or the re-rising stars rather, of Italy facing each other. I'll cover the first 2 first, and those are Belgium versus Italy and France versus Croatia. And even though Croatia, they are a good squad and they did reach the final of the 2018 World Cup, they lost to France, and I think France will be way too strong for them. But Belgium versus Italy is a good one. Do you go with, the rising stars of Italy who are willing and desperate to show that they've still got what it takes to be the major force at an international tournament? Or do you go with Belgium's golden generation who are running out of chances to win a major international tournament? But after much deliberation, I went with Belgium over Italy. Italy won't go out of the tournament in disgrace as they have a tendency to do. They won't do that. They'll go out with a lot of dignity, and I think they'd take a quarter-final appearance and then maybe push on for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. But for now, I would say that Belgium just have a bit too much for them. So my first semi-final is a repeat of the 2018 World Cup semi-final of France versus Belgium. The second set sees two Iberian rivals, Spain and Portugal, go head to head, as well as the Netherlands versus Turkey. And the Netherlands they're better than Turkey, let's be real. I think, as I say, Turkey will be the dark horse in the tournament in my opinion, but by this point I think they'll have run out of steam and come up against an opponent which is stronger than them and will probably beat them with a bit of ease. So the Netherlands will make it through to the semi-finals, and I'm also going to say that Portugal make it through to the semi-finals. Spain are in a similar position to Italy in that they have, a very young squad who are not really experienced at international tournaments. With a couple of obviously experienced heads thrown in there like Sergio Busquets, but I just don't think that this is their tournament. Maybe the 2022 World Cup in Qatar will be the one where they really make a name for themselves, maybe go semi-finals and perhaps the final, but right now it's just a tournament too early for them, whereas Portugal's squad is pretty much set in stone. A lot of players are hitting their prime, and so I think it will be Portugal versus the Netherlands in the second semi-final. Moving on to those semi-finals, and I'm not even going to dwell on these ones for too long because I've already gone through, the various squads quite in depth over the last little while. So I think that the final will be between France and Portugal. Belgium, again, France is just too good for them. France are just a little bit too good for them. If they were playing in the other semi-final, I think they might have stood a chance, but the route that they've been put in, according to me, they're playing against France, so therefore I think that they will lose and they will go out at the semi-final stage once again. And then Portugal versus the Netherlands, Frank de Boer cannot take a team to the Euros final. I refuse to believe it. So Portugal will be my finalists for Euro 2020/2021. Although if England do win that game against Portugal, they stand every chance of going through to the final because they'll probably beat Spain and they have a very good chance of beating the Netherlands, especially without Van Dijk. That game is pretty much interchangeable. You could say that Portugal win it and go through to the final, and if England win it, they stand a very good chance of going through to the final as well. So it was basically a question of who won that game between England and Portugal would make the final for me. And because I said Portugal, I think it'll be, therefore, an exact repeat. Again, loads of repeats in this format. All of them for France, interestingly, but a repeat of the Euro 2016 final, which of course Portugal won thanks to a stunning 25 yards pile driver from a Swansea City reject, because that makes sense, doesn't it? So now the big one. Who wins between France and Portugal? Well, there's going to be two major international titles on the trot for the French. I'm sorry, I know it's really boring and I know it's so obvious that people are just going to say France are going to win, but just look at their squad. It's ridiculous. It's just jam-packed with amazing players. They can field just an entire team of well-beaters. Portugal can do the same, barring maybe one or two positions. I know they won the World Cup, but they are out to right their wrongs that they made as hosts, no less, of Euro 2016 when they lost to Portugal in the final. It will actually be a much better final than that insipid one in 2016. But in the end, perhaps even by the odd goal in 5, France will come out on top over Portugal, and therefore they are my Euro 2020/2021 champions. And that's it. That's my prediction done for Euro 2020. In summary, France will win it, Portugal will be a very honourable runner-up, Belgium and the Netherlands will make it to the semi-finals but just fall short. It's not coming home. We're about to go through 56 years of hurt, and Scotland will go out in the knockout stages for the first time in their history because they've never reached the knockout stage of an international tournament before. But those are just my predictions, and that's how I think the whole of Euro 2020 will pan out. If you did enjoy this video, then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. You can ring the little notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a video straight away, and comment down below with your predictions for the Euros, who you think will be the dark horses, who will win the tournament, and who may be the surprise failures. You know, all that jazz. But thank you very much for watching this video, and until next time, I will see you then.